Let's get started. We skip all the things, we get straight into the
Yeah.
discussion. Is
Okay.
what is the art of learning? This is my you can lead if you want to. Then I
No,
put
that's
my
fine.
there was something was bugging in my head. What we
Okay.
call the art of learning about how do we learn. You know what I mean? It's like building your muscles is called what we call bodybuilding, right?
Yep.
But I want to learn how do we learn, how the mind does all that. So if I know more about it, then I can tune my learning activities in a such a way the mind goes, my mind does things quicker, longer, stronger.
Yep.
So this is my question to the four people around us.
So
Anybody?
so your question is about learning, like how?
Basically, the one common is we know the what's the learning happen, because then we can talk about we talk
Yeah.
about what do they do differently. This is what is it basically how learning happen from the childhood.
There's something interesting about learning as well. Like there's some views. Some people say that the thing that you're learning is kind of already in your mind. You're just coming across it. But the fact the word experiential learning really appeals to me. Like you're learning through experience. Like it's a bit like you can read all about swimming, but you won't learn swimming until you actually experience it. You actually do it. So I guess learning is related to experiences, and you learn when you experience things. So that's how you internalize, and it's
So
basically something else about learning. They say is learning is what's left behind when you take away all the notes and all the books and everything from you. What you can produce on your own is the learning.
let's talk to the other two people here as well to share what they think.
The
Go to
people.
Ali Nawaz. So Ali Nawaz, do you know how do we learn?
How to learn? Well, people learn in a lot of different ways depending on who you are.
Yeah, please keep going,
There's
keep
different
going.
methods. Um, like
Yep.
some people could like learn by memorizing, like having a schedule or a timetable, keep memorizing, or like looking at the same thing every day. Or some people just look at it once and they remember it. So it's really different. Depends on who you are.
Absolutely, that's a very good point. Different people learn differently, but what actually learning happens? Let's get that the animal view. Is animal view mean how animal learn, like how a kid learn things.
And like when they watch someone else do something and they learn it slowly
So it's
over time.
basically a monkey mode. We call it monkey mode. Monkey see, monkey do. So that's the basic. It's it's a very basic model in there. And now I go to the next level. What happens is, when you learn one language and you're going to learn a second language, how do we do this? So we relate that language to the other language and just say, oh, okay, in English we use a word, let's say pen for this to writing a device. And in Urdu, for example, we call it kalam. So that's how we do the second thing. So I give you some of the thoughts to think about it. There are two or three things I add, then I'll go back to Brother Nasir. Your brain has already something built in, which is we called the basic stuff you bring from the nature. For example, when somebody, even you are at two or three, 4 months old, if somebody give you something in a hand, you put in a mouth. You never put in a nose or ear. So that's you get it pre-programmed, as brother says, or in computer language I call it the firmware, the program that is part of the hardware. People call it nature, mother nature, whatever. Now, as you get experience by your environment, you started to build upon whatever you know. Okay? Whatever you know. And that is called you wave the knowledge based on your pre-existing threads. If you think of for example, if I give you a random number, okay, then it won't make any sense to you. But if I give you say this is your dad's phone number, the brain will take those numbers differently. That's where the point comes, the relevance. If things are related to you, then you give a little bit more attention. Your brain it's like the recognition of pattern. What brothers, I just go back to brother saying Nasir, and then we move on to the next question after he poses. Yes, brother Nasir, you go ahead.
So yeah, I very much agree with you that there's already some existing knowledge, and we build upon that, and we learn it, and experiences play a big role in the learning. So just like the experience we're having right now, that's also an experience, and we are learning through. So the exposure and experience are really important.
So Shami, you want to add something? Not really. So we go to the question, which is the main question was here. Just give me a second. This is a question which is going to lead to the main question. What is your learning goal? What is the goal of your learning? But this is, I think, is quite a fundamental question. What is the goal? What is the goal of your learning? Have you ever thought about it? Yes, Shami. You never thought. What is the purpose of learning? Why are you learning it? It's a very important question.
Because apparently it's supposed to help you in your future life.
What kind of future life?
Like you learn math so that while you're like shopping and stuff,
Yeah.
then you like know how to calculate and see like better quality and stuff like that.
Okay. So it helps you to have your life. What do you think, Sharon?
Well, I think that, how should I put this into words? Something probably similar to what Sharmeen said. Basically that when the only reason you're learning is for two things. So to get a career in life, so you're able to get yourself a job and secure finance.
Yeah.
And also to help you in life, let's say to get some skills. Example, as Sharmeen said, in math, you would use it for shopping. And then you can also relate your learning to other things. Let's say you're working with another person, you have to also know about what they're doing as well. So because you learned about, let's say you're, how should I put this? A programmer, and you're talking to your, let's say, graphics designer. Because in school or maybe in uni you've learned about graphic design, you can relate to what he's doing and you can work with him more easily.
Thank you. And going to the Ali Nawaz, what do you think?
Well, it's kind of similar to what Shayan and Sharmeen already said, but like the more you learn, the more you can implement that learning in like other areas of your life in the future. Like it doesn't matter what job that you have, that you eventually end up with. Like whatever skills you learn, like I don't know, like making up a timetable or a schedule, being organized, that all counts when you have a job in the future. So like learning is not just centralized in one place. It's like it's implemented everywhere.
Okay.
I'm sorry, there was a bit of background noise. I couldn't hear that properly.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't do anything.
Speakers aren't
Is
very
it putting a TV or something there?
No, my mouth was talking really loudly.
It's okay, that's fine. So what he's saying, the three words he said is one is a job, and what was the other thing, Ali? You were talking getting a job, yes.
Like
What was the second
like
thing you
whatever you
mentioned?
learn, like whatever you learn, it can not only be implemented in like wherever you like whatever job that you get in the future, like whatever you learn at like a young age or like in the past will be implemented everywhere. So like a good example would be having a timetable or a schedule. So like being organized, like you need that for practically every job that you do. Like
That's good. What do you think, brother? I mean, I got very interesting things coming up, which is really good. What do you think, brother Sayyid Nasir?
Uh, yeah, I pretty much agree with all of those. The goal and purpose of learning is to be a better human being and to be able to support oneself as well as help each other in different problem domains and in different aspects of the life. Getting a job and a career is very important, yes. So that's where the learning comes in, but also um, being a good human being. So we learn those things as well, life skills, and to be able to function properly in a disciplined way in the life. So yeah.
If you look at the basic definition, that's you can add those notes if you want to. There is the if you look at the learn means is something you know that you didn't know before. That will be your learning. This is one of the fundamental. I might be wrong, but this is what I look at it. And that is in the human, fundamentally in his DNA. He wants to. He's curious. He wants to know, or a person wants to know what he doesn't know, and that makes him always curious about the thing. But like everybody commonly said, being a support himself means he has to have a job. I mean, I just normally ask if you got a job and career, what else? So it means you stop learning, which is not the truth. I mean, we can go many ways, but what people are saying nowadays, because of the kind of environment we're going through, one thing commonly said, everybody say is, which is really good, nobody said that, good marks, which is kind of not the learning goal. Should be. Like it happened when I used to teach in a uni, they used to say, oh, getting good marks. And I laugh, say, look, learning is nothing to do with the good marks. Good marks reflect that you're learning. It should reflect, but not all the time. Okay? So this is another one of the learning goals to get you need to get past to go to next class so you can learn more. And what Brother Nasir says is very important to be a better human being. And that can be reflected many ways. You need to know manners, you need to know how to look after your body. You need to learn that. And you need to look after your family terms, all things around you, not just a learning about a technical subject and then make money out of it. This is just one aspect of your life. Your life is divided into many roles. You got your body, then your immediate family, then your extended family, then your neighborhood, then your country. So you are linked with all these things. So for example, you learn beautifully, you become a scientist, but you're sick all the time. You don't know how to look after your body, which got a fundamental right. So this is the thing you need to learn as well. So I think is to have a healthy, happy, satisfied life. That should be I guess, should be centered. Making a money and getting a job is part of it. Because if you get a job, very good job, you're not happy, for example. If you're not happy, and you can't be happy if you're not healthy, that's for sure. If you're healthy and if you're not that much happy, that might be acceptable. And obviously, if you're sick, you can't be happy. And satisfaction is somehow is important, that gives you the sense of contentment, achievement kind of thing. Now we get to see this stage is set. Anybody wants to add what is your learning goal purpose after having that discussion? Otherwise, we move on to next. Any thought comes? Anybody mind?
No, I think you've said it beautifully, and that's very good. So I think
Because that's we should center. The life should be centered. So we just go. Now we come to what top students do differently. So that is the we saw that video. I don't know about the Alinoa. Alinoa, did you see that video?
No, I wasn't able to.
So let's Brother Nasser, can you brief about the three things he mentioned in the video so we can just talk about it?
okay, sure. So there's two ways we can do this. Either I can brief, or maybe I can ask
Yeah.
you. Can I have through the participants window? Can I have a show of hands? How many of you actually watched this video? You can click on the green yes button if you watched it, or the red cross if you didn't watch it. So, okay, Shayan watched it. Okay,
Yeah, I did do with the chat.
all right. So
Where's your share?
Shayan and myself, and of course brother Shafat Ali, he's watched it.
Yeah, just trying to see.
Yeah. So how do you want to do it? Should we have a discussion about what we learned, our points, and then I'll go to the points that I wrote down?
Yep.
Okay. So as I said in the in WhatsApp, so maybe can we have just 2 points from everyone? What do you think are, because what I said was I was trying to implement some kind of flipped classroom. So the idea was if you read, if you watch the video and then have at least 2 things that top students do differently, so we can discuss those. So can we start with Shayan? Shayan, what do you think top students do differently? Shayan, are you there?
Well,
What works for you?
okay, so usually relaxing before an exam so that you'd have a clear head.
So can you repeat that?
So being calm and relaxed before an exam so that you can have a clear head and you're not tensed up.
Okay, that's a good one, yeah. Okay, nice. Do you have another one?
I have another one. Do you want to say anything?
Um,
You can come back to it. I just give you the
Okay.
Shami mentor. She'll be back. So
Okay, that's fine. But Ali Nawaz, do you have any point of yourself? So even though you haven't watched the video, but just what do you think of what do top students do differently? So, okay, I think there was some
you can type.
disturbance.
You can type Ali Nawaz.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
I put the chat link for that as well. It's in a WhatsApp group as well.
Yeah, I've just.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Actually, he pointed about quite a number, but he only shared 3. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So top students are usually quite organized and have a healthy lifestyle. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, that's good. Excellent. So is Sharmeen back? Can we?
No, she's not.
Okay. So there's something more. So also time management. Okay. Thank you, Alina. That's a good one. Time management. Okay. So yeah, they have to be good with time management. So Brother Ali Shafkat, would you like to add something on this?
Just what I was thinking, what works for me, worked for me. I'm sharing my golden secret.
Yeah.
Whatever, I think from year 5, whatever I learn, I find someone to teach. It doesn't mean I'm showing off it, but because you only share what you mentioned before as well, in whatever is taken away from you, like books, notes, everything else, and what you left behind is learning, and that is what you show in the exam, show, but you can't do exam every single minute. So what worked for me is to, whatever I learn, I teach, of trying to find a teach opportunity to teach. And this way I had 2 opportunities. One is I learned what I learned. So I knew that what I remembered. And also at the same time, from those, when the other party or other person who's listening asks me a question or feedback or anything, I get something which is not even in the book, not in the notes, something new comes up because that person never read that thing. So that worked for me, and also is became a habit that I learn by interaction. So that is my side of thing. Other than that, from the I never learn from the exam point of view until I don't get very close to the exam. Before that, I learn as a fun, as a something, oh my God, I didn't know that. How this work? With a curiosity, rather than looking at which question is important for exam, which question. I just say, look, knowing something is a fun itself, which I didn't know before. So these are 2 things work for me, or I see that made, because since day first I had a problem. I can't memorize things. The people who has good memory, I don't have a good memory. So I only remember what I interact with. In other words, I experience a little bit. Go back to you.
Okay, thank you, Brother Ali Shafkat. That was a very inspiring, very motivational, and interesting. So now, what I think, top students, they of course they do a lot of hard work, and that's also covered. And just watching from the video, it was quite interesting that to see that IQ is not the top thing. That most students think that to be able to do well, you have to have a good IQ. And in the video, they say that's not true. I guess IQ kind of plays a role, but it's not the only thing. And even working hard plays a role, but again, that's also not the only thing. It's working hard at the right thing. So what's important is dedication, and you have to just allocate a time, allocate a place, allocate resources, and then get to it. So you have to be planning. Time management is very important. Resource management is again resources in terms of time, in terms of the space where you're going to be studying, in terms of the things that you have. You're well equipped with all the tools you need. Resources, you have the notes. Notes are an important resource. So you have them, and so I guess all of that makes a good combination. So I guess that's
So we can ask, I mean, there are 4 people now. It's here to, what worked for you, Ali Nawaz, just share with us what works for you. Like I mentioned what worked for me. And then there is one thing we'll talk about. Shamin is back. We just asked Shamin, in your view, what from the video, what do you think, what attracts you, the top students do differently? Or what worked for you when you do very well?
I sleep early.
So that helps you?
Because people do stuff like they study the night before, and that's not good because you wake up in the morning all tired, and then your brain might not work properly.
So having a good sleep, I agree. I never studied 4 hours in my life in one day. Even I never studied most of the weekends. I never studied.
So is this supposed to be based off the
Because
video?
yeah, there were 2 videos. Just remember, sleeping is the time when your memories are getting processed. My own theory is all the dreams, I'm just sharing something off the topic, but all the dreams you get, it's like if you observe your dream, they are all mixed up bits and pieces of information from all over the places, but they make a little story for you. You agree? Like that's what you get in the dream, right? Something, your friend who never met before for a long time, and then he meets you the place he doesn't belong to, and you talk about things which doesn't make any sense when you wake up. But my theory is your brain is processing those information, and during that some naughty piece of information jump into these dream area, subconscious area, from subconscious area to the, and then they make their story. So means that what I'm trying to say is your sleep is a processing place. So if you get that properly, then you will retain those information. And I just, can you repeat what Brother Ali Nasser, Ali Nawaz mentioned something on the comments?
sorry. Yes. So Brother Ali Nawaz said that learning after watching somebody else and then teaching others has worked well. So just mimicking, I think, the top students or copying and teaching others also helps. Just like you said, Brother Ali Shafat, that quite works well. And studying in small sessions regularly. So that's what it says.
I think it's a very smart approach, what he said, very, very smart approach. Like it reminds me of final years when I was doing my MIT, because we were working very hard, means outside just for the living, and we were studying as well, masters. It wasn't easy. So it was very hard for us to sit down and study ourselves because we became adult as well. So but what worked for us, we used to sit down together, and because the time is short, so we used to distribute the big chapter into subtopics and say everybody take a topic, and they say you prepare and teach others because we don't have time. And then when everybody, 5 of us, for example, in a library, we sit down, so we dedicate the time, okay, because I can't dedicate myself, but if I commit to my friends, so we used to make a study circle. So sit in a library, and library also gives you environment where you can't just, you get a motivation, everybody's studying there. and everybody's studying, and then you know, like you've been given half an hour, after half an hour you will be asked to brief what you learned. So you have a little bit what we call discipline, and when your turn comes you need to explain. And what we used to do, that after half an hour everybody given a 5 to 10 minutes, what they learn in a half an hour they have to brief in 5 minutes, and then whatever everybody learned they rotate and say, look what you learned from him. And so we used to rotate to make sure everybody able to say what they learned. Within 1 hour we used to finish one chapter or 5 topics in other ways, which is not possible. If I learn 5 topics in a row, then it's going to be hard for me to retain all the knowledge. But by the interaction, we had a more retention. This is one of the other thing which reminded me from the Ali Nawaz, that having a small sessions. We were watching another video and they mentioned and as well that a small session really work, because your brain is like your body. Your brain is like your body. Like you can't eat your 1 week food in a one go. You eat 3 times. So they say after 30 minutes your brain need a break to refuel itself. It's like your stomach is full, it need to digest it. So you need to give a 5-10 minutes retreat, and it's really such fun thing do where the mind is not involved. So mind get the time to process those information. Same like a body, when we eat we do something else. So let stomach process those food stuff, and then you go back after 5-10 minutes and do some really fun thing which you and consider as a reward. So what will happen the next 30 minutes, you will be motivated, okay, after 30 minutes I'll have a nice break. So this is another thing which so it's a very nice words, Alinas. Thank you for that. Back to you, Brother Nasir.
Thank you for that. That was very good. And it was good to share our experiences, because we get something from the video, but what we get from each other, we can't get from anywhere. So it's good to share those. And that's why I wanted everyone to share before we go on to what we get from the video. So from the video, they talked about 3 lessons in Douglas Barton, who's the who has this Elevate Education, which is running in 4 different countries. They have 12,000 schools and 250,000 students, so they're big. And they've analyzed students across the 4 countries and all of their students. And they've come up with some patterns they've seen from top students. And they see that, they say that don't worry about IQ. That's the first lesson. IQ, if you have a low IQ, it doesn't matter. That doesn't mean that you can't do well. You can do well. And the second one is interesting, is don't just aim to work hard, which we will talk in a minute. And the third lesson is model the top students. So if you look at the second one, don't just aim to work hard.
Wow.
You see, hard work is important, but it's not the only condition. It says that research shows that very few students who did well, but they did not work hard. And I remember this, there are some students who are working very hard, but they're not getting the top results. And they get very disappointed, and they get down because their results after results, despite their hard work, they're not getting the result, the good result. So what you need to be doing is, the number one reason for underperforming students is they simply aim to work hard. And this saying by Michael Jordan that was quoted by Douglas Barton in his TED Talk, I really like this, in which Michael Jordan says, if you shoot 10,000 balls and you've got bad technique, you are getting really good at shooting really bad. So all that hard work you're doing, in physics we study vectors and we study magnitude. So vectors is a direction. Okay, so example, speed is just one element, just the magnitude. But when you talk about velocity, it's the the direction, that's very important. So hard work is like the force, how hard you're working, but which direction are you working at? That's very important. If you keep practicing the bad study skills and you're working hard at the bad study skills, then you're not getting anywhere. It's detrimental to your grades or your grades. So then what this leads to is cycle of disengagements. You continue to get bad results despite hard work, and that gets you down. So you have to be working hard at the right thing. And Douglas Barton, he talks about what are the right things. He says there are 13 of them. And then unfortunately, he doesn't talk about all 13.
Because he wants to sell the rest of them. That's their business model. That's what
Yeah,
the
that's
three
right.
he only trade. The one thing, yeah, go ahead. I want to share about something.
So they talk about only like 4 of them. So, which was, but in depth, they only talk about, so I'll just bring this one on because I compiled this
Wow, that looks very nice.
document while I'm reading this. So the 13 variables, only 4 mentioned to discuss. So they talk about practice exams, the top students that did more practice exams than anyone else. And they said that the more you do, the better you get at it.
This is
But
really
this
good
is
when
some-
you near the exam, and that's because you get the practice, because your reward of the exam is the number, the marks you get, and that's the learning of yours at the moment. There are 2 learning. One is what you know, and one is how you demonstrate that you know it. That's the second part. Because, for example, I have a lot of knowledge, but I don't have a language to express it. So it means I can't prove I have it. Similarly, if you have the knowledge, but you never practice how to put it into the way that somebody is assessing you, then mean you have like a 50% weak capability. So because
That's
your
exactly
personality, yeah, go ahead. Wow.
Very true. So they were talking about the do practice exams because they say exams are not a test of your memory, and that's what most students think. But the top students, they know that exams are about how you apply what you remember, and that's why while the most of the students a week before the exams, most of the students were busy memorizing the notes or writing the notes again. The top students, which is the orange part there, they were doing practice exams 1 week before the exams. And say this is for UK.
Exactly
and
what you said is exactly what you said. You're applying what you learned.
Yep.
Because that's what the point is now. Before that, you were learning what you're learning. But now you need to learn how I'm going to apply this to show someone that I learned it. Because your exam is the time where you need to give the evidence that you learned it.
Okay, no worries. So we were talking about don't just study hard doing the right things, and there were 13 of them. So practice exam is just one of those things. And the other thing that he talks about is self-motivation, which he doesn't talk in detail, just mentions it, but the one he talks in detail is self-discipline. And he says, when you're studying, definitely cut out on distractions like Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, YouTube, all of those things. Make sure they're not bothering you, because they can be just taking away all the time that you have. So you
That's
need
the other
to
thing,
have
sorry, it came in my mind, sorry to interrupt you to add, is as you go on a different road, you need a different vehicle. If you remember, your first years of study were based on memory, and they was because you were learning very fundamentals. But unfortunately, as you getting closer to the grade 3, 4, from grade 3, 4, you need to change that habit to what brother said now, to apply that learning. You need to learn that. Because as you know, if you know people, especially people in high school, if you're learning math, you won't get the exact same scenario or question what you study in the book. You get a different scenario, different name, different question type. So that's where the memory fails. So some people just stick to the what they learned in a first grade or second grade, and they keep applying the same approach. So that's similarly when you go to uni, you need a different approach to study. You can't use what you've been using in a high school. Go back to you, brother Nasir.
Okay, so now they talk about number one tool is for to have a study timetable and a timetable that's effective. So it's very important about what goes in your timetable. So you need to make sure that you put in those things as well, which is important. Okay, you need to have things that you enjoy. You need to be putting. It might sound strange that you have a study timetable, and how come you're putting hobbies and sports and socializing in your study timetable? But what happens is students, they don't put it, they just put study time, study, and they kind of get bored, and they don't like it, they start hating it, and the timetable is gone and they don't stick to it. So that's what Douglas Barton suggests. Make sure that you put in time for your hobbies and the things that you like, and then you around them you fill in with things that the study times.
There's another thing I want to add here, which is important to say. Don't forget, you learn things there as well. We think we're learning math and that's a learning only. Math is a part of the life. So when you're doing some hobbies, you're also learning something which is related to life. Sports teach you a lot of things. And similarly, socializing, I mean, you need to learn socializing. Otherwise, I mean, you can't live in your life. So the life should be focused. What we're studying is basically should relate to the life. And that's what we are doing most of the time to making experiential. If you don't, whoever the teachers just stick to the book and not relating to the life, students don't find it relevant, and then those things is hard to memorize as well. So balanced approach is the best approach, and also it makes you real as well, because you're gonna do these things anyway, socializing, hobbies. But if they're not in your timetable, and what happens if you put a study, it will work for 3 days, and after that you never look back.
Okay. Something else they mentioned was resilient. You have to be, if you get low marks, if you lose marks somewhere, don't feel down. Don't let that get you down. You need to pick yourself up and get going, and you learn from your mistakes. So you get feedback, you learn from it, and make sure you don't do it again. So just talked about it a little bit. The next thing, so out of these, I just compiled some do's and don'ts. So do practice exams, right study skills, hard work at the right study skills, self-discipline, avoid distractions, get a nice timetable. And the don'ts was don't worry about IQ, don't just work hard at the right skills. And no rote learning. And the last week, so because don't be afraid of forgetting something, you need to be doing practice exams so you apply. Don't spend all the time on memory-based activity like rote learning. Don't think exam is a test of your memory. So, and don't fill your timetable with study only. Put in time for hobbies, sports, socializing, and so on.
This is a new study like what you mentioned right now before you go next slide, because we are getting 6:51 now, just a time management from our side is to, if you look at they using, I've been to a part of the two, I'm studying myself Google, and I'm also studying through the Khan Academy as well. Most of their the lessons, because there's an online learning around this approach, what you said, they make 25 to 30-minute activities where there are 3 phases. One is you read, obviously you need to know the concept. Sometimes you listen, same thing. And then you apply. they give you a scenario where you have to apply it. Like they give you a small practice where you apply it, right? So
True.
then after that there is a quiz, there's a test. So then you know that whatever you apply, whatever you practice, so you know, you try, and you've been tested. Tested not in the negative means then you get the tick, thumbs up to yourself, look, I got it. So if you don't get it, they give you a hint back to go to the video where you missed it. So this is very good approach rather than you read and keep reading, nothing gonna happen because your brain works. You need to know how it works, and then also you need to know how to help your brain to do things faster, not the harder way. So this is the nutshell from my side. So 9 best scientific study tips. Back to you, Brother Nasir.
Okay, that was the second video. I think that was very useful. And what they talk about is break up your study sessions into small chunks. Don't have one big chunk of study because there is a limit to what your brain can withstand as well. And it can focus only for so much. So it's better to have more like 30 minutes or 45-minute sessions rather than 1 3-hour session. You have specific goals for each session that what you're going, rather than just aimlessly studying. Let's say I want to finish this chapter or this topic in this time, or I'm going to focus on a particular uh, subject and particular chapter, particular topic in that time. So have goals, and you should have a special designated place where you always study, well cooked, it's quiet, where you always study. Then, of course, no all-nighters, like Sharmeen also pointed out the importance of having a good sleep. That's important. Creating a routine, so you are and a timetable, so your brain also knows when you're going to study, and it adjusts to that. So again, highlighting, reading over and over, they say that it's not effective, although a lot of people do that. I do that. I used to do that as well.
It's that
Highlighting.
like in old days there used to be memory-based exam, not anymore. From year grade 2 and 3, they want you to apply your knowledge rather than repeat your knowledge. We shouldn't say it knowledge. They are not required you to repeat the information you read. They want you to apply the information for a certain purpose. So that's what they say, learn if you are required to teach, not for an exam. So
Yeah,
we're getting 6:55, just taking the time. But
I really like that one, and I found that I had while I was studying this, because I was doing this to conduct the session, and there was the video itself talked about different things. It was kind of all over the place. I was able to write it all down and organize it more coherently because I was preparing to teach it, not just to being tested on. So I found I gained first-hand experience at that. Learn as if you're required to teach, and not for an exam, because that's really good learning. So, and no music, no phones, distractions. Now, beating exam anxiety that Shayan talked about, that's very important. And that there's another video from the same people who did this video, which maybe Shayan you can watch, and we can all watch actually, how to beat exam anxiety. So
that's what I say. I want to add last thing, which whatever you see around, don't take it because I'm saying and we saw a video. Try it and experience it. If it works for you, like flashcard never worked for me. I'm not that kind of person. Yes, I use these as this presentation. It really works for me. If it's in front of me, I can do many, like what Brother Nasir is doing, I can do. But flashcard never worked. I never had a palm cards in my hand. I never liked them. I never had them. And I'm going to share one of the video, which is very long. It's but I'm sharing it for the people who just want to watch it relax. And he will show you some of the very nice, tricky things where he shows that how your brain works. We need to learn more and more how our brain works. so we can trick it sometime if we need to. You know, if I want to make you hungry, all I need to bring a smell of the food, right? And similarly, if I need to distract it, I need to show the music of your favorite video game.
Okay, so I think we are having a code camp soon, and it will be announced soon, inshallah, on WhatsApp. So it will be 1 or 2 sessions. For primary, so age groups 9 to 13 or 8 to 13, I believe. So learning coding through Scratch. So that will be happening soon, inshallah. Okay, so any other announcement, Brother Ali Shafqat, on your side?
There's another session we already, I think, announced is for the uni student, how to prepare yourself for uni study if you finish your year 12. It's called a Manage Your Uni Study. So these are the 2 at the moment. We are doing it. I think the 3rd session will come soon as well. Anything else, Ali Nawaz, you want to add before Shian? Please add any question, any comment, something from there. Any challenge as well, which you think you like your fellow student doing and you want to know how can I do it? Why I can't do it? Something we mentioned and you think it doesn't work for you. I mean, what is just like, frankly speaking, I never had a study routine. I didn't have a specific timing, but I love like just knowing new thing is a fun. Shameen nod her head.
Yeah,
Thanks, Dalinovas. I really appreciate for coming. Appreciate. Okay, got it. Appreciate.
You always say you got it, but then you end up saying it wrong.
It's okay. It's good. I still have, oh my God. There are 26 slides. Thank you very, very much to Brother Nasir for putting so much effort in it. We'll definitely share it on whatever we learn. Obviously, we will delete the appreciate part. So we
Okay, I think
conclude our session right on 7 o'clock.